Hello, this is Chandler Price with the National Weather Service San Diego, and I'm going to be talking about what we can expect out of the upcoming week in terms of weather. That's from today, Monday 6/22 through Sunday 6/28. The story for the first half of this week is increasing temperatures through Wednesday. So Tuesday, tomorrow will be a little bit warmer than today. We're looking at increasing to the upper 80s in our inland valleys, getting towards 95 in the Inland Empire, and then close to 110 in the low deserts, the Coachella Valley, the San Diego deserts. And then again, temperature is going to increase a little bit more for Wednesday. High 80s for our inland valleys, San Diego County, approaching 100 in some areas of the Inland Empire, and then 110 to 115 in those low deserts, are sort of the hotter areas there. Um, so these temperatures aren't entirely atypical for this time of year. We're looking at between 1 and 10 degrees above average. 1 degree above average is going to be closer to that immediate coast. 10 degrees above average is going to be for those further inland valleys and deserts. But what this is going to result in is locally moderate to major heat risk. What's heat risk? It's a standard of looking at the heat that sort of takes into account impacts on people. So minor in that yellow heat risk is going to be minor risk for heat. That's mostly for those people very sensitive to heat. But once you start getting into those oranges and reds, that's going to be impacting larger sections of the population, especially those without adequate cooling. And this is going to take into account both high temperatures and then low temperatures are going to be above average as well. So not as much overnight relief, especially for those desert areas, which is where you're starting to see some of those reds. It also takes into account, that is, some of the effects of humidity on temperatures. Speaking of increased humidity for the mid this week, so we are expecting a little bit muggier, a little bit more humid conditions for early this week. Besides making the heat feel a little worse, a little muggier, the other thing it's going to result in is there's a chance that we will have some high-based showers. This is composite reflectivity, so it's a model approximation of radar. So this isn't exactly how things might look, but it's an approximation of that. And there's a 10% chance of this happening. So what we're looking at here is where you see these blues shading into greens. That's where the model is putting showers. And as you can see, this is Tuesday, late Tuesday afternoon into the evening. We've got some of these showers moving north across the region, pretty spotty, isolated stuff. And then continuing into sort of Wednesday afternoon, evening time, light showers. The other thing about these is that besides having a fairly low chance, there's relatively dry air at the surface compared to what's aloft. So a lot of this precipitation is going to be evaporating before it hits the ground. So what does this mean? Generally, it means that when you're driving around, you may run into some drizzle, very, very light rain, a couple droplets on your windshield, but nothing too impactful. There is a very small chance for a thunderstorm during this period, but we're looking at about 5% or so not too much. So the other thing we're going to be watching out for this week is a period of elevated surf. We have an increasing southerly swell between Tuesday and Thursday this week. That will result in surf heights of 4 to 6 feet for our south and southwest facing beaches. Typically, this is going to be North County, far North County, San Diego, and then Orange County. We're talking Carlsbad, Oceanside, Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, that kind of areas, as well as the sort of more southerly facing beaches of San Diego County. There's a couple of those. Black's Beach and Coronado are sort of the typical summer break zones. So again, we're looking at 4 to 6 feet there, and then very strong rip currents, which is what we're trying to encourage people to know how to escape rips before they get into the water. Always swimming near lifeguards, swimming parallel to shore, etc. And that will last through about Thursday, and then Friday it'll gradually come down through the weekend after that. As for the latter half of the week, it's going to look pretty different from the first half of this week. We've got a fairly large low pressure system moving into the region. The main impact this is going to have is decreasing temperatures to below average by the end of this week. So we're looking at daily high temperatures here. This is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. So as you can see, temperatures decreasing to high 60s, low 70s along the coast. We're looking at mid 70s inland valleys, up to about 80 in the Inland Empire, 80 to 90 in the high deserts, and then high 90s to about 100 in the low desert. So Coachella Valley. This is between 5 to 10 degrees cooler than average for some inland areas. So quite different from the first half of this week. The other thing this might bring along is some gusty winds, especially for sort of the desert slopes of the mountains into the deserts, and a deepening marine layer, which means it's going to be more elevated, get further inland, probably last a little longer in the mornings into the early afternoons, and then come in a little earlier in the late afternoon, evening. And there might be even a little bit of drizzle out of that, but that will be spotty. All right, in summary, we're starting out the week with warmer and slightly more humid feeling than average weather. Temperatures peak on Wednesday. We're looking at possible spotty rain, isolated light rain possible Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons. Elevated surf and rip current risk Tuesday through Thursday, mostly for North County, San Diego, and Orange County, though there'll be strong longshore currents through San Diego County as well. And then we're looking at a late week cooling trend. Temperatures decrease to below average Thursday through the end of the week, with wind, a deeper marine layer, and possibly drizzle. And that's been your weekly outlook.